Um, so Racing a Reader Aspen to Parachute started in 2004 by a local woman who was significantly concerned about the reading gap that exists in our region. So she started this program to help support children ages 0 to 5 and their families. And she started a 501c3, and right now we serve on average of 14 to 1,600 children yearly. We, as an organization, have multiple programs that I'll talk really briefly about. And we do that with one full-time staff member, and that's me. And then we have 9 part-time staff members that coordinate and manage our programs. Uh-oh, come on. Oh, there we go. Our big program is our signature program, and this is where we started. And we're in our 20th year of providing it in our region. This past school year, we had the Red Book Bag program in 22 schools serving 649 kids and their families. We have a program that we started as an organization called 123 Let's Read. And it was fairly small in the beginning, but when the pandemic hit and everyone was very concerned about the passing of germs, this program grew. It's a preschool gift program where once a month, a class of preschoolers and their teacher get all the same books in their home language, along with resources in their home language to engage in children in the classroom around the book, and then they take that book home and their parents get resources to engage them to read the book together. Right now we're serving 41 classrooms, and this is primarily only for public preschools. We also have an early childhood crisis center region trying to hire educators. So this book has been a good fit since the pandemic. We also have what we call our Bolsitas Rojas Red Book Bag Clubs. This is a weekly networking 2-generation program for parents with kids ages 0 to 5. This program is specifically focused on children and families that don't have access to early childhood education in our region. So every week, and we provide 11 of these programs in 9 libraries and 1 firehouse. And it's a story, an early childhood activity that the parent and child do together. We focus on language, brain development, and healthy home support. And they all take home those red book bags at the end of every weekly session. They also get a healthy snack, and these parent groups come together and really support each other. It's a really powerful program that's growing in our region. And we serve on average about 140 to 50 families every week. Blue Book Bag Days, everyone knows about that. Last year, we did about 800 bags and 427 new library cards. It's an exciting, busy time, and we use a lot of volunteers to make this happen. And then our summer camps are an extension of our Bolsitas Rojas school year programs, and we get everybody out into the parks in 4 communities. Last year, we served 120 children and their caregivers, and it's literacy, language, brain development, and learning in the park. What's really exciting is we posted these flyers on our Facebook pages in Spanish and English, and they were filled. We never had to print a flyer. We've got a huge, huge following. And all of these programs, our Bolsitas Rojas and our summer camp programs, are all delivered in Spanish. So just a quick look at that, and I'll dive into fundraising really quickly. Uh-oh. Oh, And when we're talking about fundraising, that's one of the things we really try to do well is to use videos and testimonials to really reach out to our donors and our funders and our foundations. So moving into fundraising, that's a lot of what we do, but how do we fund it? 55% is through grants, 35% is through individual donors and donations, 5% is through events, and 5% is through some earned income. That's a partnership with our library. Our regular budget is about 300,000, which has been increased by about 40,000 over the last 2 to 3 years since I've been on staff. Our programs are growing. Our outreach programs are booming. Our 2-generation programs are a big focus in our community. So yes, I write a lot of grants, and I write state grants, local grants, national grants. I'm always out there searching for new grants to fund our work. A big part of how I do that is I collect a lot of stories and testimonials. I try to use clear and concise language. I think something that I share with a lot of organizations is I have 3 people who help me edit my grants. 2 are board members. One's a retired English teacher. One is a previous Raising a Reader director. I worked with him prior to taking over his role. And one is, I'm fortunate to have a daughter who's a writer, but they donate their time, they volunteer, but they all look at my grants through a different lens to help me really make sure that grant is clear, concise, and tells the story it needs to the foundations and funders in which I submit those grants to. So that's something I encourage you to find, is people who are willing to edit. They don't write it, they just edit it. They look kind of over my shoulder, and I appreciate that. You know, collecting my pre and post data, what story does that tell? I use kind of a grant map and schedule along with a folder. I think just really managing and organizing grants is key, and paying attention to the details matters. And I'm very passionate about this work. As a longtime teacher and school principal, I see the equity gap when kids start kindergarten. So it's just part of my mission and my passion to write these grants, to ask people to donate, because I think it's a big equity issue in our community, in our country. So people have asked me, how can you ask? And it's like, it's easy to ask, because if everyone has access to high quality vocabulary development and language and learning and building those routines of reading at home together in a joyful, fun manner, when they get to the school door, we can build on that as educators. So I think that's a key piece. Donor strategies. We send out intermittent newsletters in English and in Spanish. We send out enough to keep them informed, but not too many that they unsubscribe. So I'm really careful about that. We try to keep them short, engaging, and fun. We do one yearly mailing in late November, and we keep that fairly concise and joyful. I write a lot of thank you notes and cards that are handwritten. I also send additional emails and thank you notes. It's not automated, so it's one that I've written up, but I tweak for each donor, just trying to make sure, I personalize it. I think personalizing it, building those relationships matters. I'm cautious about phone calls. I know some people really lean into that, but I'm careful because I don't want to lose people. So I know that's not something that I spend a lot of time on. But I think outreach is key, and I'll spend a little more time here. We have a Facebook and Instagram account, and you can see the number of followers we have. We run those accounts in English and in Spanish. We have just a huge following And we provide a lot of great information, not just about our organization, but about our local school districts as well. Presentations and partnerships are a big piece. And then volunteer opportunities. We just did a holiday gift wrapping at a local bookstore. It didn't bring in a lot of money, but it was great outreach. We did an event with the Kiwanis Club. Again, not a lot of money, but big outreach. People know us. We're held in high regard. And I think that's key to fundraising, that people know you're active and things are happening. And lastly, I know I won't spend a lot of time here, but we do a Children's Arts and Literacy Festival. It is a way to bring in money, but it's also outreach. Our board is very committed to our mission of literacy and language development. And but this has just become a great event. Lots of volunteers to make this happen. Lots of local authors donate their time. Nonprofits donate their time. And we have about 250 children and families that attend. But again, this is outreach and fundraising linked together. So I hope this gives you some idea for the I can, Tamisha, is there time to show the 30-second video?
Yeah, but there's no sound when you show the video. We have a question in the comments for you too. Leah wanted to know, what is the grant map that you're using?
I have just created it on a it's a spreadsheet. I just use a Google spreadsheet for myself. And it just has the name of the grant, the date it's put in, what the focus of the grant was, how much I asked for, and then how much I received, the date. I also put in the date in which they're supposed to tell me. And I color code it when, it's red if it's not, funded, it's green if it's funded, it's yellow if it's partially funded. And the board has access to that consistently. And this is my 3rd year. So I'm tracking it over time. Mm-hmm. And then I also put all my grant dates into a Google Calendar. I'm a big Google person. Mm-hmm. So.
Thank you. Thank you, Suzanne.
Other questions?
Yeah, any other questions?
I just hope this gives you all some ideas and sparks some forward thinking to help fund your organizations, because I just really think this is such great work, such a great organization to be connected with. And clearly here in the Roaring Fork and Colorado River Valleys, we're really proud of what we're doing to help close the achievement gap and make sure all kids are successful when they start kindergarten. So thank you.
Thank you. And Suzanne, we have a request to see the video. So maybe at the end we can show the video.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Okay. I can
Perfect.
put the link in the chat as well.
Okay. And thank you. And it's just a great way. I love the event that you all had, of course, and just incorporating your board members and volunteers. It's just so resourceful. So great job with that.
Thank you.
All right. And up next, we have Dr. Govan Hunt.
Hi, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have driving privileges.
Yes.
Okay.
You go ahead and share your screen.
Right. Awesome sauce. So good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much, Tamisha, for inviting us back to be able to share at this town hall. We're super excited to be here. Raising a Reader falls in one of our favorite buckets of work, which is literacy. So I'm sharing today on behalf of BCDI of the Carolinas, and just as a refresher, and I promise I'll like tell you why I'm sharing all this this front-loaded information. It'll make sense in a minute. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the National Black Child Development Institute, we've been in existence for over 50 years as a grassroots nonprofit organization, and our mission is to improve and advance the quality of life for Black and Brown children and families through education and advocacy. We do that work by operating in several different buckets, and literacy is one of those buckets. So what you're looking at here is NBCDI's 8 essential outcomes for Black child development. And this was rolled out just recently under the leadership of Dr. Leah Austin. One of these 8 essential outcomes includes representation, and that's where our books and our toys actually land. So working towards the realization that every Black child can actually see themselves reflected in their books and their toys. I'll tell you why I'm sharing this in just a second. So that means that we are super intentional about the types of things that we share out in our community. When it comes to book distributions, the types of programs that we execute here out of our office. We're located in Charlotte. And Raising the Reader has proven to be one of those vehicles to kind of help make sure that children have their hands on literature that they can see themselves in, their community, and their families. So this is just a picture of our assistant literacy coordinator here at one of our schools with one of his classes. Mr. Horn, there are a couple more pictures there. Lots of excited kiddos. And the reason why I share, I think I probably skipped over something, but that's okay. I had a couple more pictures because we like to share pictures. We have a couple of different schools that we share, that we implement this program in, including our family childcare homes. So what we've learned over the past couple of years, we actually serve 2 schools and several family childcare homes with Raising the Reader now, and we've consistently grown the program every year. We started out with just a handful of family childcare providers and only really focused on the 0 to 5 population. But through our research and work and trying to figure out what the most research supported program that existed in order to help increase literacy skills for our children, Raising the Reader always rose to the top of the list. So that's why we decided to pour resources, manpower, funding, and concentration in delivering the Raising the Reader program as a part of our effort to kind of make sure that we include, that we really work hard to give our children the best. Throughout our implementation of Raising the Reader here in Mecklenburg County, we've learned a whole lot over the past couple of years. Some of this stuff is written, and some of these things you really can't get a grasp on until you're in it and you've done it a couple times and you realize that you might need to make some tweaks and adjustments. So what we've learned is that you really got to develop some goals for the program that include timelines and data collection efforts. And so when I say goals for the program, I mean really aligning that with the goals of your own program to make sure that you have capacity, manpower, and it fits with your mission and your vision in the first place. Because if the alignment is not as strong as it needs to be, there's a hard time building buy-in and a groundswell of support from your volunteers and even your internal team members, right? So that was one of the first things that we learned. We learned that some best practices include identifying and leveraging community partners, including the local libraries. They have to be a part of the conversation, a part of the process, a part of embedded into the program, really. So, and leveraging community partners not just necessarily means, like they're volunteers or looking for monetary support. It really is asking who's doing what, who's delivering programs where and what schools, so that you can kind of find a loophole, an opening, or something that you can really kind of walk along with people who are doing similar work in the community. You want to make sure that you engage all of your stakeholders, and that includes your internal team, that includes your parents, your school leaders, if you're not the program that's implementing out in the community on a wider scale, but you're really targeting particular schools, particular childcare centers that have baked in audiences already, you want to leverage all of those stakeholders. We got to be able to build buy-in from the parents, from the children, from the school leadership, from the teachers, especially if you're in K-12 buildings, because the teachers, the school leaders and the teachers are essentially the gateway between you and the parents, right? So in terms of creating plans to mitigate loss of inventory, we've been down that road and back a couple of times and still polishing every single day is to make sure if we have the appropriate buy-in and not just involvement, but engagement, it is a part of that plan to kind of help mitigate loss, because they realize how important it is to return the bags and to spend time with the literature, to make sure that the teachers are having the same kind of communication and using the same language over all their communication channels as well. And then conduct consistent temperature checks with the necessary stakeholders. And what I mean by that is the volunteers that you have implementing the program, the staff or the team members that you have implementing, driving this program, school leadership and grade level teachers, just to make sure that things are going the way we think they're going. We had a hard lesson just last school year where we thought, the teachers, it was easy for the teachers, communication was streamlined, and it turned out that wasn't the case. It wasn't the case. It appeared that way. The children are always excited about the bags, the red bag program. They're excited about the books. They're excited about seeing our team members in the hallways at their schools and visiting their classrooms to exchange the bags. But at the end of the day, when teachers are bombarded with so many other responsibilities, right? It was making sure that we are delivering the program and showing up in a way that it doesn't feel like something extra to the teachers that we're asking to kind of act as a buffer when we're not in the building. So just conducting consistent temperature checks with the necessary stakeholders. Oh, there are my other images. This is at one of our other sites at Tuckasegee Elementary School. And this is our our family literacy engagement specialist taking the time to actually have that conversation with the children. She spends time with each class talking about the importance of the red bag and how to hold the red bag, how to love the red bag. And she gets the kids really excited. She usually has them up modeling, showing how to hold the bag and what they're going to do when they get home and where to store the bag and how important it is to return the bag as a part of that plan to kind of keep loss at as low as possible. And again, there's that representation there. So the ability to sit down and really choose the sets of books to go in the bags has been very invaluable, like super valuable. We can't even put a price tag on that. Rather than just kind of getting a box in the mail and not knowing what's in there, being able to get those diverse sets, those starter packs, those multicultural sets, those refresher sets to make sure that the children that we serve, because we serve primarily Title I schools, and this is not to say that all Title I schools are comprised of children of color. I'm not trying to equate the two, because we do that often when we're writing reports and talking about Black and brown children. But it just so happens that the schools that are on our priority list that we want to target with these programs just so happen to be Title I schools, or schools that have proven over a number of years to have challenges with meeting their literacy goals. So in order to do that, it takes money, 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 money. So, and I so appreciate the tips that were just shared. I was definitely taking notes. So in terms of funding requests, our Raising the Reader program is supported by 75% grant funding and 25% donors, 25% donors. So when you're talking about your grants map and all the letter writing and thank you and building relationships, I'm over here saying, hey, man, maybe I am doing something a little bit right because I hear a similar story. So it's acting as confirmation. But what we did here in Mecklenburg County in order to build up that 75% and to continue to increase it over the years is to make sure we built a strong case for support. And what I mean by that is making sure that our community of funders understand how important raising a reader is. So when I lead even my grant applications and presentations about this particular program, sometimes I lead with the research that backs raising a reader, and sometimes I lead with the simple fact that our community right now actually has our school district, our community partners have goals and guardrails that are designated and laser focused on increasing literacy for our children overall. So for instance, our district right now has a goal of increasing kindergarten through second grade, third grade, literacy at or above benchmarks as it relates to DIBELS, from 67% to 91% over the next few years. They have similar grades for third grade literacy, right? Our Read Charlotte is another example of a community organization that's working to improve literacy skills for children in Mecklenburg County that have very specific goals around increasing college and career readiness for third graders, increasing kindergarten readiness. I have qualms with that term, but I'm gonna use it because I think it's language that we've all heard and used before, kindergarten readiness. So when children leave pre-K programs, that they can actually private and federally funded pre-K programs, they're ready for further continued literacy growth when they enter kindergarten. So sometimes building a case for support means understanding the needs and the requests from your community. Our community right now has several campaigns laser focused on building literacy skills. Raising a Reader has so much strong research back behind it. And there are programs like the one that you just heard where they constantly producing data and evidence that if we engage our stakeholders, our families in the right way, the most robust way we can, that we can build a groundswell of support and we can actually move children. So it's warm and as fuzzy as it feels to distribute the red bags, as warm and as fuzzy as it feels to have the blue bag distribution. There's always data behind it to back it and to build the storytelling to this case for support. So listening to the community needs and I hate to keep going back to COVID, right? Because but during that period, COVID school closures, our families requested over and over and over again opportunities. Our childcare providers wanted additional opportunities to help boost literacy skills for their children, to help grow literacy skills for their children. So listening to the needs of families, they knew their children needed something different, something additional, some additional support, books that their children could relate to so that they can kind of encourage a love for reading to help grow these literacy skills. Raising a Reader checks the box for all of those things, So aligning the community needs with your organizational capacity is another thing that's to be considered when you're requesting funding. So there are organizations, including those that are unlikely or sometimes you don't think will support your program. Sometimes bankers, PNC is one of our funders for this program, when they Grow Up Great program, but making sure that you have the organizational capacity to match what they're asking for, right? If our goal is to increase classrooms, we want to make sure that we have the volunteer support in place, that we have a staff in place that is well-versed in the benefits of raising a reader, that's well-versed in some of the best practices, that takes the initiative to go and research and see what other communities are doing in order to make sure that these red bags go out, they come back, they go out, they come back, and that parents understand what to do with the material when the children actually bring them home is critical. Because again, data is attached to all of that. And I'm not just talking about numbers, I'm talking about the things like the video that we're waiting to see, right? We're talking about the qualitative data, the storytelling, the experiences that our teachers can share about the seamlessness of implementation, the excitement that children have around the books, how we've engaged folks who are doing similar work, our librarians. All of that is a part of building a case of support, but it then checks the box for all these other bullets. And then stewarding the support for the program. So continuing to share outwardly what's happening, so people want to support. So that 25% of private donors that support Raising a Reader will continue just want to support Raising a Reader here. Our goal is to increase on both ends, increase our donors, our grant support, and then increase our private donor support as well. And I think that's it for right now. So that was just a little some information about the people that we have driving the program here on the ground. I'm going to stop sharing so I can see everybody again. Or maybe you can just cancel it, Tanisha.
Yeah. Hold on one second.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. So thank you for allowing me to share. And if I don't know if there's time for questions, but
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think we have one question in the chat box. Angela, did you want to unmute and ask your question?
Thank you, Tanisha. I actually just jotted down
Oh.
Dr. Govon Hunt's email.
Okay.
So I'm going to be stalking you, friend. I have
oh,
questions.
fantastic. I like it. I love it. I love
Good,
it.
but not in a scary way. Like I'm going to stalk you in a fun way. So
Okay, that's recorded. Y'all heard that, right? It's recorded.
thank you so much for sharing. I'm really excited to learn more about your organization. So
Awesome. Fantastic. Thank you. I can't wait to hear from you.
thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for Dr. Govon Hunt? Go back to my chat box here, make sure we're all good. I think we're good. Thank you again, Dr. Govon Hunt, and just some great, great ideas, and just, the buy-in. That's number one for sure on the list, so I love that you shared that. Thank you again. Noelle, are you ready?
I am ready.
All righty.
I'm going to just do a quick delete here. So I see a little typo.
You want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Suzanne's probably like, did Noelle join my team at Aspen to Parachute? I'm Noelle Colomi from Raising a Reader, and I'm the Director of Development. And I've been with the organization going on 3 years. And I want to start by giving a shout out to the teachers. I am 100% sure that I would not be the first in my family to go to college if it was not for Ms. Krothjack, my first grade teacher. And apparently when I connect with other friends I went to school with, they were all scared to death of her. She was super strict, but I couldn't have loved her more. And she just supplied me with books. But in those days, I'm a little bit old. All the books I think had blonde girls, and there was a commercial at the time that said from Clairol that said blondes have more fun. And my best friend at that time, Colleen, we were the two little Cuban girls, and we were like, we got rid of all of our blonde dolls. We only played with brunette dolls for a time. Now we like all the dolls, but anywho. Just goes to show how important diverse books are, and to see your own face and to see your own people reflected back in the materials that you read, and even just like the TV shows that you watch, and what the different roles for you will be based on, like, if you can see it, you can be it. And I think that starts with books, and that's what I'm so proud of our collection. And it's not just like, oh, grab a bunch of books and like sit with your kids and read. I mean, the effort that Rebecca goes to on our staff to work with the program team to select these books, and our partnership with BDCI, and I got BCDI. I always mix up the letters. I mean, just cultivating and curating these collections to speak to the communities. It's everything. It's absolutely everything. And then the curriculum, the bilingual curriculum that goes along with it. I mean, because every parent wants to be their child's first teacher, and we're one of the only countries that only speaks one language, like from the get-go. Like every other country, everybody's multilingual. It's no big deal. And all the studies show that your brains are smarter the more languages you learn, and it doesn't delay learning. It just makes your brain that much more adaptable and fabulous. So the fact that we can provide bilingual curriculum, bilingual books, so that the parents feel empowered and they don't feel shame, they feel joy, they feel like empowerment, like that is what we're doing. So I love fundraising, which is odd because I'm a social worker turned fundraiser, and there was no way I could do one-on-one support. Like in graduate school, I was working with these poor kids, and I was like, these kids need cash. They don't need like to talk about playing in the sand with me. They need food, clothing, support, good books, a lawyer, a housing, food, sitting with the Noel for an hour. I don't know. So I'm the daughter of a used car salesman. So I used my sales techniques. That's basically what sales is. And what Suzanne was saying about like the thank yous and the personal relationships, that is key, key, key. And what Dr. Govan Hunt is saying about the data, the qualitative and the quantitative, that's like when, my dad's trying to sell somebody a car. He's like, what's the gas mileage? Like, how often is this car going to be in the shop? And that's the same with our programs. Does it work? Does it deliver impact? So that's my little begin. But let's see what my slides say, because I don't remember. So first, what Dr. Govan Hunt and what Suzanne have shared, these are all the things that I'm going to underscore and reiterate. But what's different is we want to help you. That's what we can add. Raising a Reader wants to partner with you to help you think through and grow and sustain your programs. So if there are opportunities for us to collaborate on joint proposals, or if what Suzanne says, you need a second set of eyes to look over something. And I put in the chat that the best editor I ever worked with was a volunteer who, oh my gosh, if Linda got a hold of anything you'd written, it was like, do you remember the days when you'd get a red pen back? Now it's all online, but oh my gosh, it's scary. But it always, famous authors all have editors. And the more eyes see it, the better it gets. And we have a new member of our team, Jonathan Thornton, and he's my new boss. And oh my gosh, he's the best editor. He's such a great editor. And when you get fresh eyes on something, you can see where it doesn't make sense. Because if we're all talking about Raising a Reader, and we've been talking about it for a long time, and reread the little overviews, we're not really stepping back to see well, gosh, if I didn't know anything about Raising a Reader, would this make sense? So that's why it's so helpful to get other people cross-departmentally to look at what you're putting forward. And then my title is different now. I'm director of development, and I partner with Suzanne Metcalf, she's probably on this call, or I'm not sure if she is. She might be on vacation this week. But she's fabulous. She's creating social media posts all the time. So be sure to like and share and follow us, and just use them as your own, because it's Raising a Reader vetted material. So, she's really been active on LinkedIn and Facebook. So those are good places to follow us. And then here, we are a good use of federal funding in a million different categories, not just literacy, not just family engagement, but SEL, STEM. And so whenever there are local sources of federal funding that come down the pike, and obviously all of this waxes and wanes, and it depends on who's, pulling the levers and who's in office and what's been, what is current and what the next cycles are. But just know that there are lots of places where Raising a Reader can plug in. So that's what this slide's about. And then these are some success stories of our affiliates who have, accessed some big time money that really puts them on the map and really is the driver for larger expansion. Because we can do our darndest to write these grants and expand and launch, but this federal money, that gets passed down to the local districts and communities, that's what really puts your program on the map. Like Oklahoma City is such a prime example. Rebecca, my colleague, worked with the folks over there. They liked the program so much, and it had been launched with like a 6-figure gift from one of our longtime funders who's from Oklahoma City but now lives in Silicon Valley. And he's like, I'm going back to my hometown. I want these kids to have a chance. I was educated. I want them to be educated. And he and his wife put their dollars, where their hearts were. And then the school district loved it so much. We've been working with Stephanie Hinton. She why can't I say that word today? Well, she got some money from ESSER. And they went from 3 to 34 schools. Now that's impact. That's delivering big, big impact. Also Buffalo and our friends in Red Bluff, they had similar success stories with accessing those government dollars. Let's see, what's our next slide? It's interesting to me to see like who's giving. And everyone's like, it used to be ask Oprah, like, do you know Oprah? Can you get her to fund your programs? I'm like, I don't know Oprah actually. But individuals are the largest givers. And Raising a Reader National, we mostly get funding, our foundations, just like Dr. Govan was saying, foundations are a larger piece of our pie. And there are avenues. We all need to get to know Oprah. That is so true. Of course, now everyone wants, I'm digressing. Anyway, we can see that like 13% goes to education. And then I thought that was interesting that 12% of annual giving is the last 3 days of the year. These are all the procrastinators that want a tax write-off. So if you are sending out, like Suzanne was saying, she doesn't want to like bug people too much and send too much information out. And I'm with you. I don't think people really want to have a phone call. People are afraid of phone calls these days. I'm afraid of phone calls. So, teeing up your messages through your Constant Contact or whatever you use. We used Acton. Just tee them up, craft those messages, have them be personal. We can help you with that. We can provide templates for some language, but I'm sure your local communities and your friends and colleagues can help you come up with something warm and suitable that really, gets to the heart of your community, and just have those be sent out on those final days. And it really makes an impact. And like with the grant writing, we can help support your efforts. If you want to talk about collaborating, like I said, if you want to get a second set of eyes, we are happy to be part of that. I just listed some other types of fundraising that, I won't go into detail here, but happy to think through your plan with you. And, I think one thing that happens is people often plug in their content without really looking at the questions of the grant proposals. So I think it's just like with college applications. Or even like people who are looking for a job and they send the same resume to everybody. Just look at the question and really see what they're asking, because they're specific, and you can let the funder know that you're not paying attention and they're just trying to phone it in. And they want to work with people who are going to be thoughtful, and they also want to have the stories come alive. Like a lot of times with corporate funders, they're going to want to see the quantitative results. And a lot of times with other types of maybe family foundations, they're going to be more moved by your qualitative information, your testimonials, your photos, your quotes, whenever you can bring the program alive and show what the program did to that one family, that often is really a huge motivator for people who are making funding decisions. Let's see, what do we have next? Yeah, these are some resources. Foundation directory online is expensive, and we pay for it. And so, if you want to tell me, if you want to book an appointment, and we can do a look-see together, and look up your region. I think I'm happy to do that, because it's a big expense for a smaller program to access those grants. Although a lot of times now I find that a Google search is sometimes just as good, but this is a really useful tool that we would be happy to help you leverage. And then these were some, you guys will get this slide deck, I imagine, and these have hyperlinks. And obviously not all the states and regions are represented, but I'm happy to do some broader searches. And these are just some funders that have an entry point. So many foundations now are invitation only. And so sometimes what you want to do is, if you have a board, do they have friends with anyone that are aligned with those foundations? Or, when you look at their websites, who's the program officer that heads up early childhood education or youth development? And maybe if there's an email for that person, you say, am I in your community? We do this work. Would you be interested in like a 30-minute, Zoom call? And I've had some success with that. And sometimes it takes a really long time. We had a recent success story with a new funder, and I think it took, over 2 years. And Suzanne, you'd appreciate this. I paced my stocking out. So over that 2-year period, I think I made the 7 touches, because there's some kind of magic rule of 7 in fundraising, that you need to have 7 touches to, connect with your funder. And so it was magic, because I think it was the 7th time she was like, oh, you know what? Your timing is great. I'm going to put you in contact with my, colleague, and let's see what you got. And then we went through a lengthy process to, connect with them, but it worked out. So perseverance really is helpful. And this is my email. And I wanted to put something in the chat before I go, because Dr. Govan Hunt was talking about research. And I just want to let you guys know that on our website, we actually have a compendium of all the research that we've done that backs up the efficacy of our program. So you can find it on the website, but I'm going to put it here to make it easier. And at that page of our website, if you go down, there are 2 little kind of grab buttons with pink writing that say 39 independent studies, and then also overview of our impact. So both of those have language, or even if you want to just sometimes with grant reports, you can put in website links. They'll allow you to do that with these grant portals that they have nowadays, and plug that in as an extra bit of detail to back up the program. So that's it for me today, and I'm just thankful for. This is my favorite day to do this. I don't like to do it as much when I don't have the affiliates, because it's not as interesting. So hopefully we can. This is recorded, and we can share this with the affiliates. They're doing their onboarding training.
Yes, definitely. Noelle is recorded. So we'll share this with everyone. So you'll have the links that Noelle shared in her deck. Thank you so much, Noelle, for sharing. And please reach out to Noelle if you need any support. She's willing and ready to help you. We haven't always had a Noelle, so take advantage. Take advantage. She's here to help us. So moving along, I know we are at time, but I want everyone to just stay on because we have some great news as we shared that evaluations play a significant role in fundraising. Well, we have made some improvements to our survey. And I have my colleague Patricia here. If you want to unmute and share, Patricia.
Hi, everyone. And hi, I'll just share this one slide to keep it super brief. So last year we tested doing parent digital retrospective surveys and it went well. And so we have that available to all affiliates. And you can come to a lunch and learn February 9th to talk about a transition to using digital surveys with your parents. So if you have any initial questions, please email me, but it's a deeper dive and we've prepared a great training for you on that. So you can come to a lunch and learn February 9th. And beyond that lunch and learn, I'll be available to help you with that transition if it's one you decide to do. Paper surveys are still available on the network, as is an updated data entry tool. So this is something you can choose to do if you want to, and we can help you with that transition February 9th. That's it.
Thanks, Patricia. You all have asked and you received. So take advantage, join us on this day so you can learn more about this. We're excited about the upcoming changes. So my screen froze here. Sorry about that. Just two other announcements. Raising the Reader is still thrilled to present our third installment of our 3-part webinar series, Navigating the Use of Diverse Books in Today's Early Learning Landscape. We plan to dive into exploration that lays the foundation for creating culturally nurturing conversations about race, identity, and belonging through diverse books. We have a great lineup of speakers. We included the registration link in our bookmark. If you have any questions or didn't receive the link, email hello@raisingthereader.org. We can get you that link. Or Christine, if you can pop it in the chat box, or we'll send it to you again. We'll send several emails so you can register. But please join us. This will take the place of our February town hall. So join us for the DBC webinar. And then lastly, we have started our virtual coordinator training cohort. So if you are a new coordinator, if you haven't attended training in a while and need to, these are our 2024 dates. And additionally, if you have any questions, feel free to stay on if you have any questions for our speakers. But as I said, I want to be respectful of your time. So thank you for joining us today. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and have a wonderful weekend. And we'll see you in February. Thanks, everyone.
Hi, I have a quick question for implementers or affiliates. Sorry, just kidding. Affiliates. We're having some, I don't want to say issues because that makes it sound like really scary, but we've had a couple things come up in the last like 6 months regarding consent for photographs, video, social media requests, even though me and my team don't post on social media with the kids in the Raising Reader program. So that's really not the concern. But I was wondering is there a form, a template? Is there some kind of statement that you guys use at your agencies that we could maybe share, or how do people handle that?
Suzanne, you want to go?
Sure. We in our pre-surveys that we do at the beginning of the year, we have a section that asks parents if we can use pictures and stories, and they sign off on it, and we have those, and it's right there, and we pay really close attention to it as well.
Yeah, thank you, Suzanne. And
Sure.
here we have a separate form also that we can use for consent from families. But sometimes I found that when we're dealing with multiple classrooms, right? It's hard to
Yes.
get all the documents back. So what we've done was actually establish an MOU with our district, and with the school. So the school actually has those forms on file and consent. So if there's a classroom or a couple kids where the forms just didn't come back, that way we have a way to cross-reference it, and that gives us permission to be able to share. So we don't
Got
share
you.
across organizations, but because we have an MOU in place with the district and then a more granular one in place with the school, that grants the organization.
Got you.
Sure.
Okay.
Mhm.
That might
Andrea,
make more sense for how we do it. Because we're serving multiple centers, multiple families, multiple children across 2 counties. And it's a lot. Okay. Thank you guys. Ty, I didn't know if we had, like, if Raise and Reader had a template that was like on the OAN or something.
Yeah, I believe so, but I think it needs to be updated. So I just jotted down to get it updated and I'll send that over to you.
Okay, awesome. Yay.
Mhm.
You guys are the best.
Thanks. You're the best as
And-
well.
And a fun strategy when you have a child who has to be opted out, we just all have them hold
Yep.
up the bags right in front of their
Yep.
faces. And they're
That's a
all
good one.
excited.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
some
it
of
just
our
makes everybody happy.
some of our
Everybody's
kids do
happy.
that anyway. You know, they're
Yep.
like, look at our bag, and we're like, no, baby, let me see your face. Yeah, so yeah, that's a good
Like
idea.
that, Suzanne. That's a good.
Fixes
Hey,
Thank
everything.
you
And-
again so much.
Thank you.